All right, everyone, this is episode 4. I am Mike Lowe, and this will be the NBA draft. And before we get into that, I wanted to explore some of the comments that I've received about players to look at, and I did some myself, just kind of looking around, because we actually have a pretty nice surplus of not just draft picks, but also players, right? So here we are at the Trade Finder. I'm looking for all players over 85, right? 85 or higher. There are no other filters anywhere on this, and this pulls up every single person. I will cut to the chase and tell you there is only one player in this entire list that the team will even get back to me on, and that is De'Aaron Fox, I should say. So this is the trade that they are offering. I like De'Aaron Fox a lot. I think he'd be a really nice fit. He's kind of what I'm looking for as far as playmaking, perimeter defender, can also score. I like him a lot. I don't know if I love this offer. And again, it's something that maybe we can consider at pick 11 when we get there. Again, Malik Monk, not a bad player, 25 years old, can score, but to me, he's a kind of a lesser Brunson, basically. We already kind of have a player seemingly like this. Potential is not bad, so I don't mind bringing him in. He's also not even under contract, it seems, but I would guess that, or no, I guess he does have it one more year. So that's the offer again, but it's given up a lot, right? And it's creating a hole at power forward. It'd be different if it was maybe one of the centers, because we do have some depth there. And although I don't mind Obi Toppin, I don't really think he's a guy I want playing, 30 minutes a night. Julius Randle, I know, is getting up there. I saw some comments about, hey, we should, move on from this contract. I don't disagree. But right now, it's just not the priority to me. And again, giving up this pick, it's hard to say because we don't truly know the value of this pick until we're on the clock. But that's the only player, 85 or higher, that will even listen to us, right? If I go through, they're all saying this, right? And that includes some of the players that I saw in the comments, right? So SGA, not interested in talking. If we go back into here, let's just reset that filter, and I will show you a couple other things that I saw in the comments. So we can go to Player Finder, and let's look up, I think it was Holmes. Is that who we were talking about? Let's see. No, it was not Holmes. Who was it? It was Bridges. Sorry. So let's look up Bridges. And this is a recommendation, again, straight from the comments. This is from Jamil Effend. And he is asking us to look at Mikal Bridges. And I like Mikal Bridges. Again, we don't even need to get too much in the detail here. Kind of an inside-out scorer. Can play defense, good play. I like him a lot. But again, they are not interested in talking to us, right? And again, maybe I could go a little bit lower on the overall. I mean, 85 is high, but what I was looking to do is just try to package some of the stuff. We have a lot of draft picks. We have a lot of players that are pretty good, but we're not kind of sold on long-term. And I just wanted to see if we could really make a splash, go get a 90 overall player, that kind of thing. There's nothing out there for that. So, right, I wanted just to start by showing you that. Let's see, the other name that came up, I forget who it was now. I know the first name was Cam Robinson, maybe, or something like that. Oops. So again, let's see here what comes up if we just submit a trade here. I think it was Cameron Johnson. So another player for the Suns. Again, pretty decent player, 80 overall, power forward, can score, again, inside out. Not a great defender, already 27 years old. Potential A minus, so that's nice. Not a bad player. Look at his advanced metrics. He's never had a score above 10 for game score. And at 27, I mean, I would like to see this. This guy just doesn't really move the needle. It's not that he's a bad player at all. But to me, it's just kind of like if we already have Obi Toppin, again, different player. He's got some health issues already. I just didn't really see this moving the needle. He's also not technically under contract, but with the bird ear, so we'd have to re-sign this guy. Maybe he's somebody that actually pops up in free agency. So that's something we could keep an eye on. But again, I don't even know if they're listening to us. Yeah, so they're not, it's really picky. And I have the trade slider pretty high intentionally. And I kind of like it that way. It's tough. I can't just let's just go out and get our 90 overall player. Here we go, season 2 or the number 2 seed. I like that there's a lot of a challenge with that. So before we jumped into the draft, I at least wanted to show you there is one other trade I've already gone through and have kind of looked at, what could we do for different draft picks. I was kind of looking at moving up, right? And the only team that really is kind of giving us an opportunity to do that, it was, I believe it was the Magic. So I'm going totally the wrong way here. So the Magic they're willing to listen on a trade here, and it would be Brunson, and it would be our 11th pick. And this trade is interesting too. So again, not only can we have a check at the 11th pick, but we would have to actually kind of decide this, of course, at the 7th pick. And I wouldn't do that now. To me, it would be something we would do on the clock. But again, this isn't bad. It's kind of flip-flopping 2 guards. We're getting younger at guard. Certainly he's not as good of a guard here and Fultz, but still a decent player. If we go and look at his grades, he can score, he can make plays, he can play defense. Not a ton of potential. So again, I don't know if he'll even ever get up to, say, what a Brunson is. But he is 25 years old. He's a nice player. Would actually be a pretty decent complement to Quickly at the point guard position too. Of course, former #1 overall draft pick with the Sixers there. And it would, if we'd move Brunson, we'd probably get a little bit cheaper. The contract, he would have bird years, so it looks like we could be able to extend him. But we also have the potential that we'd walk away with nothing next year, right? So I'm not even sure if he'd be a restricted free agent at that point. But it would allow us to move up. So if there is a guy that we absolutely want to get to go from 11 to 7, this could be the deal that we're looking at. So, but let's go ahead. We're going to jump into the draft. We're going to, again, let the draft come to us, and it'll be really the first time we're going to start to see some big changes to this roster. We don't have any particular really hard needs that we need to fill. Again, point guard is something we're keeping an eye on, but we don't need to force it. We do have the option on Derrick Rose still. So let's jump into the draft and let's see how it all unfolds. So we're going to jump into the draft here. We'll just kind of go pick by pick and just, again, see how the draft unfolds. Jazz first pick. Shouldn't be a surprise. It seems like most of the mock drafts have the first 2 picks. All the mock drafts have the first 2 picks matching. So let's see here. Jazz. And of course, they do go with Wembanyama, I guess. Victor Wembanyama. Again, a consensus #1, 7'5", allegedly, out of France. Crazy generational talent, some have said here on the stream. So that'll be fun to watch him with the Jazz there. So no big surprise there. Shooting guard is supposed to go 2nd pick. You can see the feedback there. Absolute physical freak, tallest player, and the player with the longest wingspan. That should be pretty cool to watch him develop. Kings are up next, and Nick Smith is the shooting guard there. I couldn't remember the name, but he is the consensus #2 pick. So everything going according to plan. Again, no team is interested in us even moving around until pick 7. We have some options, and we're just going to let the draft just kind of unfold up to there and see. So these next few picks will be very, very important. Nick Smith was not the consensus #1 pick, but certainly he was the consensus #2, so should be a nice pick there for Sacramento. So that'll bring up Charlotte, and they go Cameron Whitmore. He was a player on our list, but again, small forward, not really a position that we need to worry too much about. Never know what the coaches are going to do with him either, with Barrett already on the team. So he goes 3rd overall to Charlotte, Cameron Whitmore out of Villanova. So again, this game just does such a nice job. Just it's talking about Gordon Hayward being a free agent and so on, and just kind of how this pick may play into that. You just don't see anything like that in other games. Not even really sim games, like tech sims, right? Pretty impressive. So 4th pick is the Spurs. Scoot Henderson. So he was the #1 point guard. I had him as my #2 point guard because I just really like, I already forgot his name here, but Proctor. And so he's, most mock drafts have him, most had him going anywhere between like 8 or 9 and 10. I think we're like all 3, the different mock drafts kind of had him going there. But nonetheless, Scoot Henderson goes 4th overall to San Antonio out of high school. One of the reasons why I wasn't too keen on picking him, just seeing the statistical production out of Proctor. He had like 18 points a game, 8 assists a game at Duke. And I don't know, that mattered to me, just kind of seeing the college experience at the high level, actually able to produce that. So we'll see if Scoot Henderson is able to produce at the next level. But again, 4th pick by the Spurs. Team need pick according to Sean Devaney. And that brings us up the Houston Rockets, who will be picking 5th. And there's a trade. So they were willing to make a trade with someone else, not me. So the 5th overall pick, Gordon Hayward. Oh, wow. So does this mean Charlotte just moved up to get this pick too? Wow. So Charlotte's going to get, they had what, the 3rd pick, and now they're going to get the 5th pick. Gregory Jackson. Really liked him. He's one of the players I was actually going to consider grabbing if he happened to fall to us, even at pick 7. Really, really, really nice pick. Yeah, just a lot of nice things to say about Gregory Jackson. I liked him. Boy, Charlotte, what a draft for them. Huge, huge. Let's check in and just see maybe last chance here if we have an option with Washington. You know, will they listen? Is there anything we can do? If we wanted to move up here, is it possible? Wait, so this one can't be traded at all because they've already traded for it, it seems, or something like that. Pick cannot be traded because it is involved in a previous trade. Okay, fair enough. So we just got to sit back and wait. And that was part of the issue with a lot of those earlier picks. So let's see. He wowed at the draft combine, making 39 out of 50 college threes, best of any player in attendance. Wow. Yeah, he looks to be a really, really good player. All right, so Wizards are up next, and there goes Tyrese Proctor. Dang it. Okay, well, that's what happens. One pick before we were going to be able to move up. But the tricky part was the only trade we had was going to be, you know, we would have gotten Fultz back, and so we wouldn't have really taken Proctor, right? We'd already had the point guard there. So, you know, maybe this does open things up. But let's see what they say about Washington grabbing Tyrese Proctor. They love his ability, the passing lane, 6 foot 10-inch wingspan, best among all point guards in the draft. Definitely like that. Very, very cool. So again, let's see if that trade is still on the table. And that's with the Magic. And so again, this, you know, potentially could make sense. In this case, we would, you know, not be grabbing a point guard because there's not another one I'd want to take this high. And let's see, can I see my scouting? Yeah, so on my big board, we're going to have, so he's gone, right? Oops, sorry, that's the big board. Where am I going? Draft board. So we can remove him. He's gone. I'm pretty sure Whitmore was taken. Jackson. Yeah, so I think those are the 6. I mean, pretty much right in order. And these are sort of in an order I like. They're not necessarily, but these are definitely, you know, we start getting it down and like, yeah, these are nice players, but I don't really know if I'd want to, you know, pick these guys, you know, say at pick 11, right? So, I mean, some of these guys are ranked pretty low. You know, like Lively's, you know, there's a guy we could get with our 2nd first-round pick. We had some of these international players, which I'm not super keen on grabbing, especially when our job's kind of on the line here. But really, you know, if we made the trade now, it could make sense because we'd have Fultz and we would have the shooting guards. We'd have one of these 2 shooting guards, right? And so if you look at them, just kind of where they're ranked, pretty close together. No surprise there. They're about the same size. You could say Wallace is a little bit leaner, longer player, and George. If we look at their aggregates here, tough to say who the better scorer is. They're pretty close to one another, but certainly the better defender and playmaker seems to be Cason Wallace. Slightly more intelligent player. Potential is interesting, and I don't know if this is just like scout error, but they both have a similar, what do you want to call it? Potential B-. But when you go in here, sometimes they don't always line up. So that says B-. And that's B+, right? So even though we've kind of already established Wallace seems to be a better player, Keontae George seems to have the better potential. I kind of like to look at a couple other things here, like points per game, right? So again, he's more of a scorer than anything. 77 overall, it looks like. B+ offense. 19 years old. Also 19 years old is Wallace. He's a 75 with a B plus, but better defense. So again, kind of he's kind of got like a higher floor, right? But also maybe a lower ceiling. Seems to be Cason Wallace, and it just kind of depends if you want to roll the dice. They look really, really similar players. The other thing we can take a look at here is just kind of their ceiling, right? So this is a pretty big one. Ceiling of all-star, floor of bench. No significant weaknesses. I made sure everybody on this list here has passed their physical at least. Kenyante George, all NBA. So a higher ceiling, just as we expected. One of his strengths is good ball defender. Can be a little slow to grasp offenses. So I don't know. It's a tough call. Maybe the other options, we just sit tight and we keep Brunson. And because like if we do this trade, right? What are we doing? We're trading Brunson for one of these players that I'm not even completely sold on. I know Brunson's a good player, and I know a lot of people in the stream and the comments have commented on him. They like him. They want to keep him. Totally get that. And so to me, I'm kind of leaning towards not making this trade because I see it as, neither of these players are going to be as good as Brunson, perhaps ever, right? There's a chance maybe George is, but certainly not now. And we would now have Fultz as kind of like a third point guard option. We could let Rose walk, right? So like essentially if we did the trade, we'd have one of these two guys, but no Brunson. We would then have Lively and Fultz at the point guard, because we could probably let Derrick Rose go at that point. But who do we have as who do we actually have at the other shooting guard spot? It'd be Fournier, it'd be Grimes, who we've said we like. So and aren't they giving us Malik Monk too? So I mean, we would have, I don't know, it's a tough call. It's a really tough call. I think I'm going to dig around for it here for a minute, and then I'll jump back into the video here when I have my answer of whether we're going to take this deal with the Magic at 7, or if we're going to stay put at 11, or possibly even just split the difference and maybe just trade up in a little bit here if there are some other trades out there. Well, the Magic have just made this easier for me, and when I went back in just to look at the trade again, they have upped the offer. They want another first-round draft pick. They've offered us a second option here, but again, it includes the later pick, but it doesn't include Julius Randle. I'm just not really comfortable. I mean, this would give us essentially 3 first-round picks this year, but I just don't think we're in a position where we need that right now. Again, our owner wants us to win right now, right? I was already technically fired, so we have to. There's too much risk here. I don't see Fultz and even a rookie with the number 7 pick at shooting guard improving this team, especially right now. Maybe there's something to be said that could be the case later on. Again, I like Fultz. I think he actually fits what we're looking for, but he's a B- potential. He's kind of is what he is, and I don't really see him even as a huge upgrade over Lively at all. And so, we would let Rose walk. There's a chance Fultz isn't even on the team after next year. There's just a lot of risk there. So we are going to turn this trade down, and we are going to continue on in the draft and just kind of let it play out from here and just see. But really, I don't really think I'm in a huge rush. I would really like to maybe grab one of those shooting guards. If one of them falls to 11, that would be great. I don't know if that's going to happen. Again, if we go in and just look... where do we go here? If we go in and look, I wanted to show you guys the mock draft. So, we're looking at a couple shooting guards, George, and the other one was, who was the other one? Wallace, right? So, Draft Express definitely has Wallace still being there. George, they don't. They have him kind of going right now. 2K also has George going there, and they have Wallace going 17th. NBA.com has Wallace going 13th and George going 7th. So it really looks like George is probably going right now, and he was the one with the higher ceiling, right? Bradley Beal, all NBA ceiling. And we could sit tight and still get Cason Wallace, who I technically had higher on my board. So again, more confirmation that really moving up may not be necessary. It also kind of shows us that we could also just go and get somebody like Baba Miller or, just any of these other players. Derek Whitehead, I think, is an interesting player. So Eamon Thompson, high school player there. So we'll have some options there. But let's go ahead and just kind of move forward. And we can see how it looks at pick 11, because I really don't think we need to make a move, assuming the other guard goes perhaps at this pick here. So the Magic are going to pick, and they actually go Derek Whitehead. So we do have the guard falling. I guess we can check in with the Pistons and just see if they're, if there's anything else that maybe they can offer that maybe makes a little bit more sense. Okay, so they can't trade that pick, so let's just go and see what the Pistons grab here. All right, so Pistons, they go Baba Miller. We had on our list there, out of Florida State. Agility of a wing, wingspan of a power forward center. At 7'7" wingspan, it's the longest among shooting guard small forwards. Unique specimen, has scouts salivating. Okay, that's cool. Okay, so 2 picks before us. Again, we can check in with Toronto. But when I did this earlier, I didn't really see, a deal that kind of made sense. But we can just see. So they want Julius Randle. They want our pick in 27, which I really don't want to trade future picks. I mean, this trade doesn't make any sense. Here's our Brunson one, and involves our later pick, so that does make sense, and a second. So it's not bad, but again, I just feel like we could keep Brunson. We could keep all of this, right? We don't have any need for him. We can keep all of this and just stay put. So it's an easy decision. We're going to pass on that one. Let's just let Toronto pick. We are being offered, and we already looked at this. So they do want to trade out of it, but no, I mean, sorry. So they go Keyonte George. He is the guard that we were expecting to go at 7. Instead, he goes at pick 9. Out of Baylor, goes to Toronto. Does his addition to the Raptors mean that Gary Trent Jr. could be expendable as a free agent if the price tag gets too high? Very possible. So Oklahoma, let's see if we have anything cooking there to move up 1 spot, but I don't think we need to. But just because we're being thorough, why not? Let's just see what they're offering. But, again, kind of the theme of this whole series so far has just been kind of letting things come to us. So they want Randall, a pick next year. We get Luke Kennard, again, good 3-point shooter, but it's not really something we need to add, especially at $15 million. So this would be Brunson. Again, it just doesn't make sense to move up 1 pick. I don't see a reason to do it. We're not dying to get anybody. I'm bummed that we missed out on Proctor. He was kind of the guy from day one I was hoping to get, but it just didn't work out that way. So Terrence Smith goes point guard. So he's the 3rd point guard taken. Oklahoma City gets him. If you look at the Thunder roster strictly from a team needs perspective, it says Terrence Smith looks like he will be a perfect fit, assuming he can adjust to the NBA game. So that puts us on the clock. Let's go and examine a few things here as far as the Knicks picking their first pick with our guidance here at pick 11. Okay, so I'm ready to make the pick, and it's something we actually probably looked at a little bit ago, but didn't actually notice. I went through and really just kind of combed through a lot, whether it was, player overalls, best players that are still left, as far as what we scouted. Again, just kind of looking at players that were 75 or up at this point. I looked at just kind of their actual rank positions and so on, just to kind of see where different players were being listed according to the different scouting publications there. And again, position ranks. I was really just kind of combing through a lot. Of course, aggregates, which we'll take a really quick look at. Average draft position, just to kind of show you how things are looking at this point. And I'll eventually tell you who we're going to take. But, again, just kind of sorting through aggregates just to see if there are any standout players, in these top ranges and so on. That kind of fits some of the other things, again, being a 75 overall at least, and at least for this first pick. So again, just flipping through, there's some players, for instance, Ware is a guy, I think there's a few centers I still really, really like. And I think what I'm hoping is there's at least 3 centers that I really like still. And I would be really curious to see if one of them can fall to pick 30, because that would make a lot of sense for us. Again, it wouldn't be a really risky pick at that point. So anyway, just flipping through the aggregates again here, just to show you kind of the top ratings for each. Again, rebounding, IQ. And there was a lot. I mean, there were some players that really, honorable mention kind of stuff. Here's the highest potentials, at least according to this. And there were a lot of different things to look at, right? And really what it came down to was Cason Wallace can play point guard. And so he's also obviously a shooting guard. And he is everything we're really kind of looking for in either spot, right? He can play perimeter defense. He's a really good playmaker, which is going to work well for point guard. And he can score. So even if it is mostly just behind the 3-point line for now, that's fine, especially if he ends up being more of like a point guard on this team. So to me, he's a pick that makes sense. We let it come to us. I don't really think, I wish his potential was higher. It's a B- here, and on this screen, I think it's the same, B-. So you'd like it to see a little bit higher at 75. Like I kind of wish he was more like a 77 overall, but those could be wrong still, I believe. But again, long story short, looking at many other players, but some players like Ware, Armstrong, Lively. I think one of these 3 could be available for us at pick 30. I liked, Anthony Black was a player I liked. I like some of these younger small forwards, Thompson, Walsh, Thompson again. But again, there's a lot here that could still fall to us, but it's pretty sure I think it's pretty obvious that we're not going to have Wallace here drop, right? We see a lot of single digits here on his rankings, and I mean, this is just kind of the point we're going to take him, and I'm actually pretty happy with it. We didn't get Proctor. There was really no chance for us to get Proctor where we were sitting, but nonetheless, I think Wallace could be a really nice piece for us, even if it is just off the bench here. As a kind of a combo guard. So we're going to go Cason Wallace with the 11th pick, and let's see what they say about it. So out of Kentucky, Cason Wallace says, I saw a number of people in the media suggesting that Wallace is a second-round talent. I couldn't disagree more. Okay, I guess that's good. The Knicks are getting great value for him in this spot, and that's really what it came down to. Zach Harper had me a little worried there. Thinking that maybe we totally reached here, but I think it was really just a value pick that we let come to us, let it fall into us, and it was probably a case of taking the best available player, at least the highest ranked player. So let's continue on with the draft, and we will see where things go from here. Tearing through these next few picks here. Miami makes a trade at pick 12. And so the Rockets are up, and they take Rasheed Geiger out of Mississippi State. Denver, there goes Amen Thompson, one of the players we were sort of considering. Made the most 3-pointers at the Combine. Suns are up. Jordan Walsh, another player we're looking at. A lot of small forwards in this draft class. New Orleans, pick 15. Brian Armstrong, one of the 3 centers we were checking there out of Gonzaga. Ankle injury, so I have to look at that again. I forget. There may have been something there with him. Bulls at pick 16. They're offering us a trade. I don't have any need to trade up here. We're going to decline this. We're getting there. Yeah, no. I mean, it would cut salary. I know we're interested in doing that, but we need to win too. So Anthony Black, another player we were considering at pick 11, goes 16th to the Bulls. Indiana, another trade. Suns again. Oscar Thompson. High school's head coach. I like that. High school's head coach. Timberwolves go Arthur Kaluma. one of the highest potential players that were left when we were picking. Pretty raw player, though, it seemed. Clippers go Derek Lively II. So 2 of the 3 centers we are looking at. I think Ware is the only one left now. It's going to be unlikely that they're there. But again, we don't really need to push the envelope. I don't really think it's something that we need to lose any sleep over per se, but since he's gone, I guess I will go and just take a quick look and then report back if it's worth considering moving up here into the 20s to grab that last center that we kind of had earmarked as a potential pick. But let's see what Zach Harper had to say. Easily the best interior defender. I mean, yeah, I was hoping Lively was going to be there at 30. He went quicker than I was expecting. So, but let's see. Let's see if Ware is worth taking a look at. I do think I want to actually try to move up. Although the centers that are remaining are, all 3 of those guys were kind of on the big board, kind of in the 30s or like low 30 range. Most of them, all of them, I believe, were actually being picked to be drafted in the 20s. So it is time to kind of move up if we want to get Ware. I do want to try to do that. And the first team we could try this with would be Atlanta. But I don't know if we're going to be able to get it done because the only offer that they're really interested in, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. We'd be grabbing a center, which I guess would help here, but then we're kind of kicking Wallace can down the road a little bit to 2025, and who knows. And I like Wallace. He's not really a player. 3.5 star there as a rookie is, pretty darn good value. And so it just didn't really seem to make sense. So we're just going to have to kind of keep moving forward and hope that eventually we can find a trade that works. We're probably trading for some sort of surplus, whether it's depth on the roster or a lot of these extra draft picks we have. The only thing I can maybe try to do is if we just say, hey, look, we're trying to throw this in. Hawks, what can you do for us? Let's see if something comes up there. Yeah, so still nothing. So kind of stuck there. That's not a trade I want to do. So let's just go ahead and resume. Atlanta will probably take my center. They do, of course. So there goes Ware. So that takes care of that. And now I'm pretty comfortable just kind of sitting back and waiting if a team maybe offers us something up. But, there's really nothing here. If one of those teams that I see are coming up here, one of the better teams that have some really good players that we were looking at, I guess we could kind of reach out to them now, such as, the Suns or whoever, even though they've picked a bunch already. The idea, though, is that if there was a player that was not available, maybe there is now. But, I just kind of see, again, we're kind of waiting for the draft to come to us. Let's see what Lang Whitaker has to say about Ware. They're wowed by his athleticism. His vertical was among the best all attending centers at the combine there. So good for Ware, good for the Hawks. Too bad we couldn't get a deal done. Okay, so we have skipped ahead to pick 30. We are now on the clock, and I can give you a really quick rundown of just the picks that did happen here. I'm just going to scroll through and let you just take a look at picks 21 through 29. And so, again, that puts us on the clock with pick 30. Really deciding between a couple players. Just to kind of show you guys again, here's what we have left, right? We have this pick. We have 3 picks in the second round. I didn't really want that to happen. We were trying to trade up, and again, it's just with the trade slider being increased a little bit difficulty-wise, just been tough to find a deal that worked. We had offers, but they felt forced a little bit, and so we're okay. I mean, I don't mind kind of, maybe we just grab a few projects and just kind of see what sticks, put them in the G League, and kind of go from there. It never hurts. But, we could also even look to kind of kick these down into next year's draft where we, again, have 3 second-round picks. So, I don't know. We have a lot of draft picks here. It's not a bad thing to have, but we have some options. But really deciding between 2 players at this point, if we just kind of sort by the best overall, first player is Brandon Miller. I mean, he's a guy, heck, we were looking at like pick 11. So he's still there. He has a ceiling of Wally Szczerbiak, so all-star ceiling, which is nice. You can kind of see his strengths there. No significant weaknesses and no medical issues. So 6'9" out of Alabama, 195, age 19, can play the 3 and the 4, and scored 20 points a game, chipped in on rebounds, assists, and so on. Shooting percentages weren't great, but also not terrible. He's just kind of a guy, right? He's got a decent mid-range scoring there, which is nice. Can play a little bit of defense, can make some plays with the ball in his hand. Pretty athletic, and still got pretty good potential. So, again, a pick I'm very comfortable making. He is certainly one of the 2 players I'm considering, and you can kind of see where they have him going. Projections would be going here, very early second round. I don't mind grabbing him 30th. It's really not that big of a stretch. So again, it seems to make sense. I think he's a guy that could come in and probably, make the team and play the first year, since we don't really have a strong backup to Barrett at this point. Cam Reddish, a free agent, and so on. So it gives us a little bit of flexibility. The other player we're looking at, though, is Javon Ball, who is out of England. He is 6'4", 208, shooting guard, small forward. His ceiling is an All-NBA Joe Dumars. So again, has a higher ceiling. Amazing man defense, incredible leaper. Could develop into a really good player. Lean muscle mass, less muscle mass you'd like to see at his size. So they kind of call him a little bit chubby, 6'4", 208, but doesn't really have muscle mass with that. No medical issues. Average 19.7 per game. Again, shooting percentages aren't great. They're not terrible, and just kind of chipped in around various spots. Good 3-point shooter, excellent perimeter defense, so that's nice. But again, we don't want to over focus on that. But again, he can score. Of course, the big thing here, potential is even better potential. The big thing here is he's 3 years away from being on this team. And so, truthfully, I'd like to try and get both these players, right? And our next pick is pick 5 in the second round. So it's just 5 picks away. And if we just kind of look at the draft projection, they have Ball going well before Brandon Miller. Same thing with 2K. They got Ball going well before Miller. And I actually might be flipping my tune here because I was going to go with Miller. But looking at this again, I think we're going to go Ball here because, Miller is a nice player and I think he can fit, but we can also find something like that in free agency. If he doesn't fall to us, there's still very likely that he would fall. 2 of the 3 projections have him falling to that 5th pick. Ball's not going to be there, but we have seen one of the international players already go. And I don't mind rolling the dice on that upside. There's some other players, too, that we're looking at getting with those other picks. I like Wilson and Gordon. There's some other players here that have some pretty nice potential. There's a couple centers I like. Theo Hendricks is one. I think Jerry White was the other one. So we have some options here. Gerard Knox was another center I like, just kind of looking really quickly. So definitely going to have some options later in the draft. But I think right now we got to just kind of go with the board. Let's check the big board again, and just kind of see the difference between those two. They have Javon Ball 13th on their big board. That is like really, really high, right? So again, if we sort by their rank, if we go by choose prospect and we go by their rank, he's by far the top guy. It's really just best available player, and so I think it makes sense for us to go ahead and just pick him. Let's go in and do that. We are going to go with Javon Ball, and we're going to stash him for a few years. That's okay. We got plenty of other picks coming up, so that's another reason to do that. So let's see what they say about Javon Ball. Out of England, going at number 30th. Lang Whitaker says he has been scouted for years now, but fans here in the States are just now learning about him, and Knicks fans here confused whether they should cheer or boo the pick. Okay, so we don't really get much there. So let's go through and we'll get up to our next pick here. That's going to be Boston picking. So Lester Frazier. 76ers go Allen Ryan. Oklahoma City. There goes Brandon Miller. So we just missed him out of Alabama. One of the most talked about long-range shooters in the nation. Miller led all small forwards and made college threes at the draft combine. The Thunder were clearly impressed. All right, well, we had to make a choice there. So San Antonio then goes Luke McDonald. So we have a lot of options here still with our next pick here. Got 3 picks in the second round. I'll show you who we're going to pick here momentarily. So one of those kind of just random scrappy players I was talking about is Wilson Gordon. He has the highest potential left in the draft. We have scouted him 100. He's only a 71 overall, so certainly not going to be a factor this year. But he's got a little bit of scoring ability on the inside. He's got decent perimeter defense that I think can definitely pop here with his potential. Already a pretty good playmaker. I'd like to see that IQ also increase, but pretty good physicals, ability. And again, just a player out of Texas Tech who I think we're going to end up making our pick here. One of the other reasons I really like him, he does have 3 playmaking badges there, is I like that his ceiling is still at the all-star level. So here in this early second round, we can get Wilson Gordon, send him to the G League, and just kind of see if he's able to put anything together here for his career. So again, it gives us a little bit of time. Could be something that he fills in Derrick Rose's spot after Rose leaves. Again, not really impressive. He's a pretty good free throw shooter, but shooting percentages are pretty bad. Still put up 20 a game at Texas Tech, 7.6 assists per game. But, again, overall, we're looking for him just to develop into a player who can just maybe fill out a bench role at this point. Maybe that potential pops and it's something more than that. We'll see. So I'm pretty comfortable here just going with Wilson Gordon, who will be the pick. Let's go ahead and select him and see what they have to say. A steal in the second round. Gordon is a humble and versatile player who will work hard every day. He has the potential to be a contributing rotational player right away. I don't know about that last part, but nonetheless. So again, we still got 2 more picks here in the second round. Let's see what those reveal. With pick 39 here, second round, sandwiched by the 76ers, or I guess we're sandwiching them because we also have pick 41. And I know who I want to pick. Second round, just kind of, you're more just kind of looking at grabbing prospects, kind of just throwing things out as far as, can you just find some sleepers? Can you find some potential and that kind of thing? And I think that's what we're doing here, more or less. There are quite a few players I still like. I like Dalton Rush, mostly because he is the highest rated player with B potential at all positions. And we have scouted him 100%. So he is certainly one of the players that we're looking at. I actually really also like Dane Smart, who is a 21-year-old point guard out of Loyola in Maryland. And he's just got some nice characteristics here. He can score, shooting the ball, really good perimeter defender, developing playmaker. We don't know his potential yet. He's undersized, but I think that to me could be a sign that maybe he could develop into something a little bit. 5'11", 165, pretty small for a point guard there. But I do kind of like him. He's not even really projecting to get drafted, so we don't need to necessarily take him here. We don't know a whole lot about him. But again, just kind of an intriguing player. Shooting percentages are pretty bad. So again, it's more of an intrigue than something I'm really considering. The other players that I was looking at are a couple centers. One is Gerard Knox, who I mentioned. You can just see his aggregates here. Inside defense is good. Rebounding, good. Potential not great. He's out of Grand Canyon. 78% scouted. So again, nice player. Also like Jerry White at center. Again, inside defense, decent. Rebounding, decent. We don't know his potential. Again, both of these are projects at best, right? What's kind of interesting about these guys is when you look at their kind of their measurables, right? Knox is an inch taller, a few inches taller, 7 foot, 6'9". But the wingspan here much longer on Jerry White, and so it's kind of one of those things like, geez, I don't know. I guess you could say Jerry White's probably rated higher. He's a year younger, but we also only have him scouted 15%. So again, still a risky pick. Another player that I'm really intrigued by, and I actually went through all players, including drafted players, and Rudolph Pollard is a power forward. He is out of Kentucky here, and 6'8", 218, can play the 3 and the 4. A+ shooting of the 3, right? So 3-point scoring, A+. He had the second highest in the country 3-point percentage, only behind the guy that I think was drafted 3rd, like Whitmore. 483. Whitmore was like 53% 3-point, which is crazy. So 40.483, 48% 3-point range. I thought that would just be kind of a cool like project player. Again, he's not really even, he's barely going to be drafted, if at all, so we could probably wait on him. And maybe decide between him and maybe one of those centers, maybe even the point guard I showed you with the next pick, because certainly they won't all be gone. We're going to pick again in just 2. But the player we're actually going to go with, because he is scouted, he does have some potential left, and so this will be our 4th guard we picked. We went 2 shooting guards and now 2 point guards. I don't care. These are developmental players. One player is going to be overseas for 3 years. If we have 2 point guards kind of fighting to make a roster, good. That's better than just taking some, just junk player that's probably not going to make the roster anyway. There is some potential here in Dalton Rush that we looked at. So out of Missouri State, just a 72 overall. But we are going to make him the next pick, and then we'll grab one of those project picks there with pick 41. We'll see what the Sixers do, but let's go ahead and take Dalton Rush, our 4th guard of the night. The scouting reports on Dalton Rush were all pretty similar. Not a sure thing, and as much to prove. With the Knicks, he is going to get that chance. So that's what we get there. Let's see what the Sixers do. They take Jermaine Butler. So we still have our pick of those players, and let's see. I don't know. It's a toss-up, right? I mean, who is the highest rated according to the Draft Express team out of those players? It's Pollard at 59, 58. So again, barely drafted. We go over to the centers. Oh no, I guess I missed Jerry White. So it's Jerry White. Knox is not even going to be picked. Jerry White's the one. He's got the longer wingspan. I don't know. We don't know his potential. He can't really score at all. I do like his long arms. I mean, that's definitely good. Average a double-double. That's at San Francisco. 4 blocks. Again, though, kind of playing at a smaller school. I'm not sure if that matters, but I'd like to think it would. Versus the power forward from Kentucky, right? So again, that's at Kentucky shooting 48%. 6'8". He would be a 4. Either way, we're going to take a big man finally. So kind of an undersized. Well, not too undersized. He can play the 3 as well at 6'8". It's just kind of a fun thing. I mean, I feel like you can find. We have depth at center too, right? I mean, I think because even as much as we like Randall, we don't have a guy who can shoot the 3 like this. And again, is he going to come in and be a contributor here this first year or perhaps ever? I don't know. Maybe not. But it does just kind of seem he's got still good inside D. He can still rebound. Like he's got some measurables here that are pretty decent. The potential is not really looking great. But hell, let's go Rudolph Pollard. Why not? So he is our last pick here. It's not surprising to see Pollard get drafted here after leaving the draft combine with more made NBA 3-pointers than any other power forward. So cool. A little bit of scouting there. And we'll just rip through these last few picks. We'll see if any of those other players go. Just going to go really quickly through these here now. So none of the players that we were looking at, I mean, all the players we were looking at here are probably stretches. That's what the second round pretty much starts to turn into. Hell, even half the first round. There goes Jerry White to the Wizards. Just a few more picks here. Well, the one center is still out there. I wonder if he'll actually be a free agent, so we could go and potentially grab him too. I already forgot his other name, but of that center. So, but that's still an option. But yeah, the draft is done. We have made it through. Of course, from here we're gonna go into rookie signing. Next episode is gonna be featured probably mostly around free agency and that plan, and just kind of what the team looks like after we get through some of these next few stages, as far as player options and qualifying offers. But yeah, we are through 4 episodes. We're through the draft. We picked 5 players, 4 guards, 1 forward who's kind of a 3-point maniac. But that is the draft here with the Knicks. Again, thanks for your input on that. I'm excited to see what we come up with free agency, which we'll definitely do a preview of on the next episode, which will be coming up probably on Tuesday. So be looking for that. But I'm Mike Lowe. I'm on Twitter at MikeLowe47. Again, thanks for subscribing to the YouTube channel, everyone. And I will talk to you next time.